I'm Stephen Vacinek, Director of Investments here at Northstar Resource Group. And what a difference a quarter can make, which is exactly how we started last quarter. Over the last year, had you tried to anticipate or position your portfolio according to all the events and news that were happening in the marketplace, you would have had multiple changes to your portfolio based out of fear and/or greed, only to be very frustrated on what actually to do next. This is very true to the perspective we at Northstar Investments feel that a diversified portfolio will provide you the most consistent long-term performance. Be patient, be disciplined, and have that long-term perspective. Onward to the quarterly recap. Over the last quarter, an interim peace agreement was completed between the United States and Iran, which caused the price of oil to fall substantially from $110 per barrel to under $70 in just a few weeks. This should be a great thing for the U.S. consumer, as the price of gasoline at the pumps should also fall, relieving much stress on many personal budgets. In addition to providing relief at the gas pumps, lower oil prices should also reduce costs across multiple industries: transportation, airlines, manufacturing, chemicals, and agricultural. One would assume that lower oil prices would lead to lower inflation, but energy, in the form of gasoline, and food are two components that are not included in the Fed's core inflation metrics. Current core inflation is currently at 2.9%, up from 2.4% last year, and well above the 2% target that the Fed has as a growth rate. Speaking of the Fed has a new president. Kevin Warsh was signed in recently in that position. After one meeting, he has already set his tone with a much clearer and concise messaging and a reevaluation of internal policy framework through a subcommittee of 5 different groups. This appointment by the current administration, many economists have come to expect a very dovish tone or a lowering of interest rates. But given the current inflation and job market numbers, ironically, his first move may end up being a rate hike to control some of this inflation. The labor market continues to show strong historic numbers with a 4.2% unemployment rate, but we are seeing a slowdown in hiring. Job openings are showing a decline, and wage growth has moderated at 3.5%. If you notice that wage growth of 3.5% and overall inflation, or CPI, at 4.2%, you can quickly see that the U.S. consumer is actually seeing a decline in their real purchasing power. GDP continues to expand at 2.1%, which is below the levels from last year. The U.S. consumer makes up 2/3 of spending in this GDP number, and you can see why the consumer slowed down given how much higher prices and a decline in their purchasing power has affected GDP growth. 2 important components that affect inflation, food and energy, are actually not included in that core number, which is so closely watched by the Fed Reserve. Businesses are also facing rising costs and tighter financial conditions. These effects continue to create a K-shaped economy, not only for consumers but also for businesses. The stock market has enjoyed a strong rebound in the second quarter. The S&P is actually up 10.21% for year to date and 23% over the last 1 year. Small caps, surprisingly, are actually up 22% over the last year to date and 40% over the last year, which sounds very impressive until you look at the effects of international stocks and emerging markets. Emerging market has been the best performer at 24% year to date up and over 39% over the 1 year number. On the fixed income side, fixed income has remained relatively flat at being up only 0.62% year to date. The 1 year number still looks attractive at a 3.79. The reason for that is because interest rates have gone up with anticipation of inflation. And if we're familiar with fixed income, as interest rates go up, we know bond prices fall down. So even though we're getting more attractive interest and yield right now, the price fluctuation from inflation has actually caused it to remain flat. While corporate profits and equity markets remain resilient, strong financial markets do not necessarily reflect the strength of the broader economy. Lower corporate tax rates and healthy corporate balance sheets should continue to support strong economic earnings growth. Although risks remain, including inflation, monetary policy, and geopolitical developments, there are currently no clear indications of either a global recession or any kind of a significant economic slowdown. At Northstar Resource Group, we encourage you to reach out to your financial advisors to learn more about how this market may affect your portfolio and things you can do. Be consistent, be patient, and have a long-term approach to your investment needs. Thank you very much.